PowerShells come alive. Get your scripts on track. No more looking back. ScriptRunner is on fire. Lifting us up higher. New release tonight. Dance with the code, feel the light. Quick fixes and more. Downtime's out the door. Streamline every task. Just configure and blast. Press play. Let's go. ScriptRunner sets the flow. Innovation's here. Dance away your fear. ScriptRunner is on fire. Lifting us up higher. New release tonight. Dance with the code, feel the light. ScriptRunner is on fire. Lifting us up.
Hello everyone to today's live stream about our new ScriptRunner release. My name is Heiko from ScriptRunner, and today I have Michael with me.
Hello, yeah, it's me.
It's you. Hi, Michael.
Hey, Heiko.
Thanks for doing this with me. So today we want to talk about some new cool features of our upcoming release. It's not yet available, but stay tuned. It will be very soon. And for those of you who maybe is not familiar with what we're doing with ScriptRunner, I will give a short introduction into what we're doing in general. Then we're going to talk about the new features, and then Michael is going to show a couple of them so you get a better idea what we're actually talking about. So let me start sharing my screen here. And yeah, so as mentioned, so if you're not familiar with what ScriptRunner is all about, a little introduction first. So ScriptRunner is your leading PowerShell-centric IT automation platform. That means that we enable you to streamline, to automate, delegate, monitor all your IT management processes using PowerShell. And so why PowerShell? Obviously, because it's available for many different platforms. So it's very versatile. You can manage not only the whole Microsoft stack, but many other platforms with it, like VMware, AWS, and so on. And so the idea of ScriptRunner is that we provide this management layer on top of PowerShell. So we're combining the versatility of PowerShell with all the things that you can do with all the modules, the systems that you want to manage, and combine that with an enterprise level management solution. So you have the possibility to centrally streamline, automate, delegate, monitor all your tasks, getting rid of recurring tasks, scheduling tasks, things like that. And because we're talking PowerShell, of course, it can be used not only for a single platform, let's say like Microsoft 65 or something like this. It's really multi-platform, multi-purpose. So everything you want to automate, you can do that with ScriptRunner. And that also, of course, means that depending on how you organize your IT operations, you can reduce the number of products you need to automate all your different backend systems on-prem, hybrid, or in the cloud. And that also comes with a centralized monitoring, reporting. So having all the information that is necessary and needed for auditing, for reporting, it's all there in a central place. You have a single pane of glass, so to speak, and again, because we're talking PowerShell, you can standardize as all your processes, but of course, if necessary for particular maybe teams, maybe business units, you can of course customize the processes, because maybe an onboarding process might be different for, let's say, a region in Europe compared to maybe a region in the US, for example. And so that means that, again, you can standardize, automate, delegate, and monitor all your recurring tasks. Then you can decide how you want to run your scripts. You can do this in the delegation manual mode, so you can enable somebody in help desk to trigger, for example, an onboarding that is based on PowerShell, but of course much easier to use because we're talking about a web user interface. You can create a scheduled scheduled processes, meaning you can get rid of Windows Task Scheduler and centralize everything with ScriptRunner. And event-driven means you can create an end-to-end automation where you can allow all kinds of systems like ServiceNow, like Jira, like SAP, Boomi, SharePoint workflows to trigger scripts in a central way that at the end, of course, it all becomes part of the centralized monitoring. So you have all the information that you need for auditing, for reporting, but maybe also for analyzing if maybe a script is not running as expected. You can centralize your scripts and modules with ScriptRunner here as well with a web user interface. You have a secure way of managing your credentials. There is a secure way to delegate tasks to junior admins, help desk people, maybe creating self-service end users, and all that is combined with the fact that nobody in help desk or let's say in an end user scenario has to deal with PowerShell, because we're talking about a web form that is automatically created for each of your use cases, for each of your processes, so that basically anybody can use it. And just as a quick view, so before we go to the new features. So this is how the portal looks like from an admin perspective. You can manage all your scripts centrally. You can add scripts. We have an AI integration that helps you to create new scripts. You can check in scripts. But of course, and that's going to be a topic later on, there's also a integration with Git, of course. We have the credentials centrally managed here as well. So whatever you need to connect to your systems that you want to manage, you can manage them here. And also the systems, actually, the backend systems that you want to connect to, Active Directory, Exchange, Office 365, Graph, and so on. So this is part of the solution here, as well as queries, which helps users to pick and choose instead of typing. And then we're talking about the actual use cases, so the things that you would like to delegate and to automate and to monitor. And that, again, is only limited by the question, is it possible with PowerShell? And if the answer is yes, then you can use ScriptRunner to manage all your scripts, all your credentials. The delegation, which is done based on AD and Azure AD groups, where you decide who should be able to and should be enabled to do what based on their role, based on their responsibility. And of course, all activities, they end up here in the reporting, where you can see in detail what kind of activities has taken place, which script were executed by which process. In this case, we see a lot of schedule stuff going on. And I can go into the details and see what's actually going on behind the scenes. So also a look into the PowerShell host. Yeah, so that's very quickly what ScriptRunner is all about. And now the question is, okay, and so what's really new with the new release? And that's what I'm going to talk about now. And then Michael will show us a few of these topics. So I have 3 columns here. We're going to talk about security, we talk about PowerShell management, and we talk about IT automation. So what's new from the security standpoint? There are new authentication options. You can use Okta. We have support for OpenID, which means, of course, other systems can be used here as well for the authentication. we added Azure Key Vault as a new source, a new possibility to securely store your PowerShell credentials. And yeah, we have a complete new backend architecture that allows to build an enterprise-grade solution for high availability, failover, scalability. So you can basically combine different ScriptRunner servers and they share a common configuration. And whenever one ScriptRunner server is going down, then the other one's taking over the workload. I think a pretty cool and, of course, important feature, especially for big organizations. PowerShell management. We have a seamless Git integration that allows you to have a better code management, even better than it was before with ScriptRunner, because there was already some kind of Git integration, but now it's really much more tightly integrated into our solution. And tightly integrated also is true for our improved PnP PowerShell support. So many people out there, especially when they manage SharePoint, they use the PnP PowerShell module. You could use this. You could use the module already before, but now it's much easier to implement and to use it and to configure it. And last but not least, in this section, ScriptRunner is now also available in the Azure Marketplace. So if you want to test and use ScriptRunner in your Azure subscription, you can very easily go to the Azure Marketplace, search for ScriptRunner, and then you can deploy it into your environment. Last column here, IT automation. We have a, I think, very helpful new functionality here. Time-shifted processing, what does that mean? That means that you can, for example, if you know that, let's say in the next month, there are 15 new people starting with the organization, and you are in the process of organizing your onboarding. So you could actually do everything, prepare everything. You can trigger the run button in ScriptRunner to say, yes, I want to trigger the onboarding, but then you can decide, okay, but it actually should only be executed by the last day of the current month. And so you have it. You have done everything that is necessary, and then it's queued until the time that you configure to say, okay, I want to trigger this next week, or I want to trigger this at the last day of this month, things like that. So that allows you to much more flexible configure and manage your task automation. We have some improvements when it comes to how you can create these queries that allows people to pick and choose from lists of users, machines, things like that. And last but not least, we have dark mode. So something that also Michael will show us later. So with this, I would say I would remove this one here. And then I would say it's time for you, Michael, to,
All right.
to show us a view of the things that I just mentioned.
Okay, then I start over. So basically what you can see right now is a version 7.0. So this is the current release. You can get it on ScriptRunner directly. And I start with some new things to the version 7. So first, what Heiko mentioned is the visibility. So what you mentioned here on the dashboard, there's a new widget called Node Status that shows you the availability of the resources. Here in my example, I've added a password server that isn't reachable to show you that it also shows error message or warnings here. So it enhances the visibility on specific warning or errors if they occur. Another things I want to show you is under the configuration and credential. It is possible here with create to create an entry in the Azure Key Vault. So basically, if you're on version 6 of ScriptRunner, the default, so to say, is the Windows credential store. But of course, you can create Azure Key Vault credentials here as well. You select the ownership, and then it's just defining a username. So for example, let's take my user, and define a username and a password and save it. And what happens is that within the Azure Key Vault, here I created one element. If I refresh it, the second credential here is added automatically. I've added my Azure user, that he can access this key vault to see the changes that happens here. So basically, from the security perspective, you don't have access on the ScriptRunner key vault. What you can also do is on the credentials section, if you have an existing credential, let's say like this print admin, there's also a button move to Azure Key Vault. So it's possible to move an existing element from the Windows credential store into Azure Key Vault.
Cool.
Yeah. Another thing I want to show you is located under settings and script sources. And here you can see a different type of script sources. So by default, there is a folder like scriptmgr that is our default, where the PowerShell lies, so to speak, a local script repository. But what you can do here is click on create and select the Git. So same thing again, it asks me for my ownership. I leave it on public. And here I can now define things like display name, provide the repository URI like that. That would be the typical URI for our action pack, and click on retrieve branch. And so it gets the different branches that are part of this repository. So I think this is quite useful. Even if you have multiple branches here, you can select them. If you have a private repository, there's also a button here for the select credential. Here you can create a credential using a PAT token, a PAT token for the access. And so it's possible to grant access here also on that. If you scroll down a bit, you have two more options. The first one is the write access. This means basically, so to speak, this changes the behavior. You can do code changes in the portal, and ScriptRunner will commit them upwards to the Git provider instead of only downwards. And you can define an authorization folders. That means that you could only include some subfolders from a repository. Like, for example, if you type in the star with VMware, the scheme, it would only download the VMware stuff.
Cool.
And
so
as I said,
just to reiterate, so it works for private and public repositories. It can be a one-way synchronization from GitHub down to ScriptRunner, but it's also possible, if someone wants to do that, to do it also the other way around. If someone is still then allowing changes, making changes on the local repository or the local scripts to synchronize them back to GitHub.
Exactly. Right? I would not say that this is the default, but you have the technical possibility to do possible.
That. Yeah. Perfect.
All right. The next thing I would like to show you is in the 7.1 version. So now we are jumping into the future of ScriptRunner. So on the menu, on the ScriptRunner itself, there are some minor changes. The first thing you would probably notice is the moon symbol in the right top. So by clicking this, you have dark mode.
Dark mode, yeah. I heard some people like that a lot.
Yeah, basically. And you can switch back, of course, if you want that. But who would want that with the sun? So all the menus, so to speak, are now translated into another color scheme. So it's all over the ScriptRunner itself. Every part, every dialogue is now in dark mode.
Awesome.
if I switch back, maybe I can tell something about the menu on the left side. So first thing that you may notice is that under the configuration, there isn't an action anymore. So what basically happens is that in the main menu, the action is now combined. So there is no difference anymore between the run and the action configuration. So to speak, if I'm here in an action, I can click on a specific one and I'm getting direct into the run section. If I want to do any changes on the action, I can switch over to kind of configuration directly, and I don't need to switch back into configuration and action. All is done now on one page.
And that really simplifies the workflow for administrators when they, especially when they create new use cases, new actions, and they want to go back and forth, testing them, changing configuration. I think that's really, when it comes to the user experience, it's a great step forward.
Yeah, I think so too. And what you can basically do is, if you're here on the run section, you can define a parameter. Here in my example, it's just a disk name. It's just a simple example. And what you can see is beside the run button here, there's a button schedule. And that's the thing that Heiko mentioned earlier. So you can now schedule an action to be executed once or recurring. So you can say, okay, I want the action with a parameter set or with specified parameters once, like in a week or something like that. Make a comment for it. And then it will create and schedule. You see also the notification here on the top. And if you move over to the schedules, it might be there. Yes, it is there. You can see the comment, you see when it's created, you see the next execution, and you see the user which created the one. And what you can do right here is to select it. You can define the parameters to use a default set of parameters or change the parameters within the script, or you can select the 3 dots here and delete it. So that's also possible.
Awesome.
Yeah, and maybe one additional comment, if you might miss the authorize and delegate, that is also now moved under the administration, so it can be found here. So from the menu points, there is a bit of movement here, but everything that was already included is also included in the 7.1.
Awesome. So everything that it has to do with configuration is now in a single place, which I think, again, makes it easier for the administrator. And so these are just a couple of new things. As mentioned at the beginning, the version is not yet available. So the 2 things will happen. Number 1, we will have a blog post coming out that describes all the details, not just the ones that we talked about, but there are many additional new options that are part of the solution. And then, of course, the release and the download will also be available pretty soon. So I will switch back to my presentation quickly, just to sum up and to maybe have some famous or not so famous last words. We'll see. Let me just see to put this back to the stage. Yeah, so what Michael showed us was the Azure Key Vault functionality, the Git integration, the time shifter processing, and of course the dark mode. And as mentioned, there are many other things that are now part of the solution. And so if you are thinking about, oh, maybe I would like to try it myself, please do that. Go to our website or go to the Azure Marketplace. You can download the solution. You can deploy it to your Azure subscription. You have a full 30-day trial version where you can test out everything. You have access to support, to Michael, and his team that helps you with everything around testing. If you have maybe individual questions, and I will also paste a link into the chat in a second, would be happy to have a conversation with you about your IT automation journey and where ScriptRunner can help you to improve, to speed up your automation journey, of course. And also, as this is part of Scriptember, take a look at our website. Our Scriptember calendar is full of activities. We have a challenge going on where you can win PowerShell books, things like that. Next week, we're going to have Jeffrey Snover talking about the history of PowerShell. Basically, I'm just going to show you the calendar very quickly, so you have maybe a better idea what I'm talking about, which is this calendar. So Shorten the Code, by the way, is also still on. So if you want to join this little fun competition where there is a PowerShell code, and the goal is to shorten it while it's still running, obviously. And we have 2 more live streams with Harm Finstra. PowerShell is fun. The next one is happening on Thursday. If you want to learn about how to manage teams with PowerShell and ScriptRunner, we have a webinar coming up tomorrow. Still time to register. On Friday, I have a conversation, actually a recorded conversation, with Doug Fink, Microsoft MVP, about PowerShell in the age of AI. So feel free to also join that. And as mentioned, next Wednesday, we have a conversation with the inventor of PowerShell, Jeffrey Snover, which is very interesting insights in how PowerShell came to be and how it's being used today. So feel free to join all these activities. And so I think with this, Michael, we are at the end of our product launch session for today. Anything else you want to mention, Michael?
No, on the release, there will be, again, 2 videos for the introduction, going on all the changes, but this will also be included in the blog, I think.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. Nice. Very
All
good.
right.
So I think, so as I mentioned, I will just quickly also add the links to the calendar and the trial into the chat here. And again, if you are out there you have questions, and just feel free to get in touch. And Laurent Doug Fink, aka AI King. That's what he is. Absolutely. So thanks everyone who took the time to join this live stream. And again, you can test it. You can get in touch with us. We would be happy to help you with your IT automation journey. And with this, I would say thanks again. Bye-bye, and see you next time. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye-bye.